I was built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on the gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna end.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quite so thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
Go! To last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can
Is this shit working? Give me a minute.
From the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah.
I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic. Keep them out your face, no way, you don't want them, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy, the enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily, spreading like a rare disease. But I won't let it get to me. I don't need your therapy, I can leave a legacy.
Moron. Netflix is a fucking moron. When it pumps out like music every week or something. So whatever.
Do you feel courageous? Do you seek greatness? Trust me, you can take it. Go on and take your aim.
Something else. I need to pay for music. This is like, it just ends all the vibes before I even start the fucking stream, bro. I need a vibe. Shut up, I'm not listening to you anymore. Give me this. Nope. Okay, this is like, yeah, this will do. Give me a minute, I'll set everything up and we'll be good to go. Muting myself. Okay, I'm ready. Actually ready. I think so.
So what I want to talk about
Oh my god.
in today's lecture
Glorious.
is a strand in the philosophical tradition that looks not at the ways in which human interconnectedness can provide meaning and the possibility for flourishing, but which looks rather at a certain sort of psychological detachment as a way of dealing with the inevitable vicissitudes of lived experience. And the clearest articulation of the outlook that we'll be considering today in the context of the Western tradition can be found in the writings of the philosopher Epictetus. Here's a wonderful imaginary portrait of him from 1715, sitting at a table, famously with his cane, which he used to walk as the result of his limp. As you know from the reading guide, Epictetus lived at the beginning of 2 millennia ago. He lived roughly from 50 to 130 in the Common Era. He was born in Greek-speaking Asia Minor and spent his life living in the Roman Empire during that era. He spent the early portion of his life as a slave. There's some dissent as to whether he spent it until the age of 13 or until the age of 27, but in any case, a significant portion of his life was spent in slavery. But he eventually gained freedom, and at some point, either before or after gaining freedom, he studied the works and philosophical outlook of a tradition known as Stoicism. And the works that were produced on his behalf that have survived are 2. The first is a major 4-volume collection of his discussions of a range of topics. Questions in metaphysics, questions about the way the world is, questions in epistemology, how we should understand the world, and also questions in ethics.
Okay.
And
I totally spaced out. So he was a Roman slave, right?
He was born in Greek-speaking Asia Minor, and spent his life living in the Roman Empire during that era. He spent the early portion of his life as a slave. There's some dissent as to whether he spent it until the age of 13 or until the age of 27, but in any case, a significant portion of his life was spent in slavery. But he eventually gained freedom, and at some point, either before or after gaining freedom, he studied the works and philosophical outlook of a tradition known as Stoicism. And the works that were produced on his behalf that have survived are 2. The first is a major 4-volume collection of his discussions of a range of topics. Questions in metaphysics, questions about the way the world is, questions in epistemology, how we should understand the world, and also questions in ethics. And in addition to that, has survived the extraordinary book that we read for today, the little 45-epigraph essay known as the Handbook, which was, as in the case of Aristotle, apparently recorded by one of Epictetus's students and preserved in that way. Now, the work that Epictetus produced in the context of the Handbook was enormously influential for most of the 2,000 years that it has been part of the Western tradition. In particular, the frontispiece that I used to show you a picture of Epictetus is drawn from the library of none other than John Adams, the second president of the United States, who had this book in his collection in its 1715 of the Stoicism, philosophical outlook, and the works that were
I promise I'm going to pay attention. I just
that have
the room is
survived
too hot. I need to cool myself down. Wait. The fan is sitting next to me. Yeah, I'm back.
Are 2. The first is a major 4-volume collection of his discussions of a range of topics. Questions in metaphysics, questions about the way the world is, questions in epistemology, how we should understand the world, and also questions in ethics. And in addition to that, has survived the extraordinary book that we read for today, the little 45-epigraph essay known as the Handbook, which was, as in the case of Aristotle, apparently recorded by one of Epictetus's students and preserved in that way. Now, the work that Epictetus produced in the context of the Handbook,
I did not read the Handbook. It was not in the previous
outlook of a
lecture.
tradition
What the fuck is she talking
known
about?
as
Yo,
Stoicism.
this is fucking...
And the works that were produced on his behalf that have survived are two.
Okay.
The first is a major 4-volume collection of his discussions of a range of topics. Questions in metaphysics, questions about the way the world is, questions in epistemology, how we should understand the world, and also questions in ethics. And in addition to that, has survived the extraordinary book that we read for today, the little 45-epigraph essay known as the Handbook.
Okay,
which
I'm going to find a
was,
link to
as
that
in the
shit.
case of Aristotle, apparently recorded by one of Epictetus' students and preserved in that way. Now, the work that Epictetus produced in the context of the Handbook was enormously influential for most of the 2,000 years that it has been part of the Western tradition. In particular, the frontispiece that I used to show you a picture of Epictetus is drawn from the library of none other than John Adams, the second president of the United States, who had this book in his...
Which book? The Handbook?
The frontispiece, been part of the Western tradition of the text of the Handbook, was enormous.
Okay.
That I used from
So he has
the
the
library
Okay.
of none other than John Adams, the second president of the United States, who had this book in his collection in its 1715 Latin edition.
What was the second book?
Influential
Discourses. Okay. First,
the
sorry.
library of none other than John Adams,
I
the
found
second president of the United States,
whatever.
who had this book
First
in
search on
his
Google. Yes.
collection
First link on
in
Google.
its 1715 Latin edition. Wait till the eclipse passes. Another interesting thing to know historically about the volume that we're reading is that the first English translation of it was in fact done by a great 18th century woman of letters, Elizabeth Carter, though the translation that we're reading is a more modern version of it. So in this work, Epictetus takes on many of the tenets of classical Stoicism. So we've been introduced in this class so far, first to the writings of Plato, who is a systematic philosopher. He has views about everything, and his commitments are to a certain kind of rationalist, formalist, idealist philosophy. And we've been introduced to the works of Aristotle through one of his writings, the Nicomachean Ethics. But alongside those two traditions, the Platonic tradition and the Aristotelian tradition, the ancient philosophical world produced a number of other systematic philosophical outlooks. Outlooks that had views about almost any question you could ask. And among those was the view known as Stoicism. So Stoics held, with respect to the underlying metaphysical facts about reality, that the world itself is an organic physical totality that's governed by what they called logos or divine reason. There is an order to the world. And that the responsibility of human beings, given that order, is to cultivate a particular kind of virtue. Virtue on the Stoic picture is acting in accord with what reason tells you nature demands. It's going along with this grand scheme of things and not trying to fight against what is pre-divined for you. So it's not surprising that elements of the Stoic tradition get picked up in subsequent theistic traditions. In some ways, the Stoic view that the world is a well-ordered entity governed by divine reason, lies at the heart of many of the religious traditions that are familiar to you today. The question then becomes, what is demanded of you prescriptively? What should you do if these two things are the case? And what the Stoics suggest is that you need to accept your fate, that it is the consequence of the power and goodness of the Logos, even though the ways in which it is good for you may be unavailable to you to see, and that in order to do so, you need to moderate your desires, you need to avoid excess emotion, and thereby come to act in accord with reason. So the contemporary use of the term Stoic, one who doesn't express suffering in the face of pain, is picking up on the second of these prescriptive aspects. But it's important to recognize that, as with all of the philosophers that we're reading, this is part of a systematic worldview. The idea is not we pick a little bit here and a little bit there, and we don't worry about how they go together. The idea is we have an idea about the nature, fundamental nature of reality, a view about how we know that, and then views about what we ought to do as a consequence. Now, Epictetus in the handbook is concerned only with a small portion of the Stoic picture. He's concerned, basically, with writing the very first self-help manual. He's trying to tell you, Mr. or Ms. citizen of ancient Roman.
Okay, what the fuck is the Endycrion? Or whatever this is. I like all links are fucking insecure. I cannot download the fucking PDF. And this is fucking, it's just miserable. This is just causing me misery. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Okay, calm down. Second page, maybe. Second page. Usually, you can find it along the second page. What the fuck is the handbook of moral instructions? But this is a long ass book. Is this actually the book? Or handbook? Okay, this is the book. Very well. Got it. I think I saw a Gutenberg link somewhere. Right here. So it's MIT's a bit uglier yellow. Insert link. Change it. Yes. Why did the fucking music stop? Yo. No. Absolutely not. Say that again. So what's this book about? Note on the text. Let's go. No, it's nothing. Okay, the little book by Epictetus, they're calling him Epictetus. Enchiridion, or the man of the fucking handbook, okay, whatever, has played a disproportionately large role in the rise of modern attitudes and modern philosophy. As soon as it had been translated into vernacular languages, it became a bestseller among independent intellectuals, among anti-Christian thinkers, and among philosophers of a subjective caste. Okay, this is actually good. Unlike the fucking MIT smooth brain fucking retards. At least it gives you some kind of a, yeah, this is what it's about. MIT fucking, I don't know. You're supposed to be born with 145 IQ or something. I guess those are the people that make it into MIT. I don't know. Don't care. But this is fucking trash. What the fuck? This is so ugly. Holy shit. I was barely starting to get used to this and I saw this. What the fuck? It's not even secure. Yo. Shame, shame, shame. Okay. Maybe I need to put this first. God. Huh? Sorry, too many distractions today. I cannot just go back there. Too many links. Should I close all of them? Yeah. What's there to read? Before we continue, I need a quick meme. What's a quick meme? Let me find something. Okay, this is fucking epic. Yo,
because I do not possess those.
Yeah, I saw it about halfway. This is a high quality fucking shit post. I think the original video is by Soul Artorius or whatever. But yeah, I think you can find the original video here. This one, right? Yes. This one. I saw it about halfway in. Let's start from the beginning. I'll be back in a few. Watch this. Enjoy. Whoever's watching.
Unproductive to talk about this on a pornographic site. That said, I wonder if people are able to emotionally bond with others deeply. At least has never been the case with me. I have been in many relationships, but I always put myself foremost, others below me. In any of my relationships, family, friendships, or sexual relations, I've always acted to be concerned, and to some extent, played the role, but only to gain something out of it. That is true even for my own family. This is the reason why I never understood the concepts of cheating or netorare. After all, everything is fair so long as it is legal, and I gain something out of it. In terms of trust, favors, credits, estate, fame, or any other. Given that I have both looks and intellect, and to some extent money, I agree that things have been easier for me than commoners. However, I still find it ridiculous seeing the agonized and animalistic comments on this site. For instance, take an example from this nonsensical piece of fiction. Put yourself in the place of the boyfriend. You get to satisfy your sexual desires with that female. Should that not be enough? Why should it matter whether she feels satisfied? Why should you bother? If she does, she should inform you. and you may choose to do something
Fucking
about it.
facts,
If not,
bro.
what
What?
problem is there? It is her own problem. And again,
True.
she can choose whatever she wants to do with her life. I do not see that guy spending much on her. As such, I think it is a good situation for both the boyfriend and the otaku. So long as she does not become too filthy or catch an STD, things could work just fine. In fact, I've seen that females have an enhanced sense of guilt compared to males. From my experiences, you should make good use of that. With that, you could squeeze out her life till she decides to break up with you. Again.
What is NTR?
It's hentai. It's hentai. It's a hentai genre.
Cheating? What do you mean cheating? Weeb cuck shit. NTR equals cucking.
I gotta get a Red Bull
But what
or
is
something.
the comment section of NTR?
It's on N hentai.
What does that mean?
A fucking doujin site. Yo, person. What the fuck?
Comment section of what?
N
Of porn
hentai.
sites?
Somebody tell him. What the fuck?
She would not dare to ruin your reputation either, because that would in turn reveal her infidelity and backfire. From what I see, the female is the miserable one here. She could not get pleasure from her average-looking boyfriend. She gets a little pleasure out of having intercourse with the below-average-looking otaku guy. Of course, the guilt of infidelity gets not even a fake sense of security or fulfillment of emotional needs. This is assuming that the female is a neurotypical female. I really wonder why the unbright individuals below cannot realize this. And that penis volume thing is just humorously ridiculous. Do not be concerned about that. Just focus on your goals and how to realize them. The way to go nowadays is to not get emotionally attached to anyone, even if you are neurotypical. If you absolutely need emotional fulfillment, then I am probably not the right person to talk to. In any case, this marks the end of the talk. Another thing, why self-insert yourself? I do not completely understand the concept of self-insertion. Try
fuck? He's
watching
still
the
going.
events as a
Yo,
spectator.
stop!
Although the plot is next to none and too generic, my pleasure arises from looking at the miserable and tormented state of females, which was fulfilled.
Lebao! Jesus Christ! Are you starting up some religion in here or something?
I don't believe he knows what he is talking about at all.
This is ironic, right?
The lesbian
No, it's
evaded
not.
by deleting
No, it's
her
not.
comment. How sad yet clever.
You're creepy as fuck. This is why you'll never get pussy. Go off though, enjoy you female suffering or whatever.
How bold of you to assume that I am sexually attracted to females alone. I dislike sexual intercourse and find romance absolutely repulsive. What attracts me is
to get back to
femininity.
that.
It need not be a female.
I'm gonna get lost.
I enjoy the suffering,
I'm getting pulled in.
be it physical or psychological. I am what neurotypicals call a sadist. It might not be easy for you to obtain what you want, but the same restrictions do
I'm gonna start calling you all neurotypicals.
Shut up,
not
Fortune.
apply to me to that extent. Not
You
when
are
I have
neurotypical.
both superior intellect and look. Plot is next to none.
Enjoy you
Oh,
female
fuck.
suffering or whatever.
How
I immediately proved myself not to be a neurotypical.
sexual intercourse,
I
the
missed
suffering, be it physical or psychological. I am what neurotypicals call a sadist. It might not be easy for you to obtain what you want, but the same restrictions
I'm gonna start calling you all neurotypicals.
do not apply to me to that extent. Not when I have both superior intellect and looks, and even money to some extent when compared to average people. The only reason I even read pornography is to avoid tormenting real people. That
What
can
the
be
fuck?
troublesome
What
even
the
for
fuck?
me. I
What the
love many
fuck?
gore and torture
Oh, stop
comics
it.
this website
Yo,
has.
this is-
However,
this is bait.
sometimes even they are not
This is bait.
enough. And I have
This
to
is bait.
switch to the darknets to find some
Who says
real
the darknets?
content.
What the fuck?
I do not require true
This is-
love
this is-
because I do not
this is
possess
nothing.
those
You can
emotions.
find-
It is completely
you can
worthless
find
to me.
gore on
The
Reddit, what the
rest I
fuck?
can obtain easily. If not, I can plan well enough to obtain it in either the long run or the short run, given my priorities. And if something is unobtainable, I do not bother investing my resources in obtaining it. This
Oh my
applies
God,
to
this
not only
guy.
people, but also objects, and to the people it applies. Are not limited to outsiders. They include my family. I can plan against my own family if it benefits me in some way.
Base exaltation, dabbing on all the Puritans with his unique ideology pertaining females. I
Okay.
bet this is him, actually.
I know, right? The feeling when he assumed I'm neurotypical and not a deranged masochistic retard. I've never had a pussy so wet in
Did
my
I watch
life.
this before
How
on
pathetic do you
stream?
have to be to write
Or did I watch
paragraphs
it
of
off
bullshit
stream?
in the comments of a hentai? Anyway, 10 out of 10. Very good hentai.
Very good hentai.
I
Yeah.
do agree with you being a retard. I wonder what
Okay,
led you
I'm
to
done.
the
I'm done. Most probably copyrighted music fucked him up. So I shouldn't listen to this at all. Oh, fuck. Oh my god, why are you silent?
What
Yo.
to do if you would like
Come
to flourish.
on.
And here's what he tells you you need to do.
Really?
You need to learn how to respond appropriately to the experience by doing three things.
Oh.
You need to alter your perceptions of the world so that you come to apprehend
Okay, we were
things
talking
in
about
such a way
stoicism, right?
that
I'm so
the
sorry. I'm so sorry.
the power
Right.
of many systematic
I don't remember what the fuck was
philosophical
stoicism supposed to be again.
of
I noted it
classical
down
stoicism.
like before.
So we've been done book
Who the fuck
in
is this
his
woman?
collection
Yo.
in its 1715 Latin edition.
Okay.
Wait till the eclipse passes. Another interesting thing to know historically about the volume that we're reading is that the first English translation of it was in fact done by a great 18th century woman of letters, Elizabeth Carter, though the translation that we're reading is a more modern version of it. So in this work, Epictetus takes on many of the tenets of classical Stoicism. So we've been introduced in this class so far, first to the
Okay.
writings
In the book,
of,
right?
takes on many of the,
In his work.
So-
So in both the books or just one book? Why I have fucking links? Why am I asking fucking into the fucking void of YouTube? Yo. Am I still streaming? I didn't even look. Yo. Okay. Stay there. I think what the fuck am I looking at? I cannot just read the fucking book. I am so stupid. So sorry. Where the fuck? Where the fuck? Yeah. Show me. Stoicism handbook. Yes. This. Let's go. Okay, the handbook. This little book appears to be an abstraction. An abstract of the discourses. Okay, so it's a part of the discourses, focusing on key themes in Epictetus' teaching of Stoic ethics. Some of the text is taken from the discourses, and the fact that not all of it can be correlated with passages in larger works supports the view that some of the discourses has indeed been lost. Okay. I kinda get it. Okay. What was the Stoicism? Let's read this before we go there. Play this. No. I was no disgusting. Okay, right here. The writings of the early Stoics of Zeno, the founder of the school, of Crispius, the extremely influential third head of Stoa, and others. Okay, Stoa is supposed to be a school or something, right? Stoa is a school. Building in Athens, where Zeno. Okay, Zeno's fucking crib. Okay, I got it. Of others survive only as coded fragments found in later works. So we don't know him from his original works also. Is that supposed to be okay? Yeah. The fucking. I thought the apprentice was a direct apprentice, or was he like an apprentice of the school itself? The 19th century epic shield. Adolf. The Adolf first name is fucking dead, isn't it? Nobody names the kid Adolf. Fuck. He just killed that name. I think Bilbo had a joke about that. In his stand-up or something. Whatever. Evidence internal to the discourses indicates that Epictetus was indeed faithful to the early Stoics. So it is actually Stoicism, because I was like, this is not actually Stoicism, is it? It's kind of similar but different. Maybe it's early, maybe it's late, but it's not one-to-one. But Stoicism, it's a bit different. It would be inconsistent, if not wholly ridiculous, to laud Crispies in such terms and then proceed to depart oneself from the great man's teaching. At 10, 20, 15, Epictetus quotes Zeno, and he quotes Crispy to support his arguments. Aulus Gellius says that Epictetus' discourses doubly agree with the writings of Zeno. Okay, so he's like a successor to Zeno, right? So his work is basically ancient fucking philosophy, or is it? Which we find the discourses level life philosophy. Why the fuck is music? Where the fuck does my music even go? Drifting to play it. Where does it go? Suffice to say, what Epictetus teaches by means of his threefold division is wholly in accord with the principles of the early Stoics. But how does this uniquely is uniquely his own method? The program of study and exercises that Epictetus students adhered to was in consequence different from the program that was taught by his predecessors. But the end result, consisting in the special Stoic outlook on oneself and the world at large, and the ability to live the philosophic life, was the same. Okay, I kind of get it. So the thing is, a promise of philosophy. What is really good? What is in our power? Making use of impressions, the three topoi. Okay. Action. Ascent. What the fuck is an ascent? Making proper use of impressions. Ascent translates into approve, agree, or go along with. Okay, so it's about basically about choice, meta. It's a meta level of desire, right? I guess. Weird. Yeah, I guess whatever. Shut up.
In this work, Epictetus takes on many of the tenets of classical Stoicism. So
Okay.
we've been introduced in this class so far, first to the writings of Plato, who is a systematic philosopher. He has views about everything, and his commitments are to a certain kind of rationalist, formalist, idealist philosophy. And we've been introduced to the works of Aristotle through one of his writings, the Nicomachean Ethics. But alongside those two traditions, the Platonic tradition and the Aristotelian tradition, the ancient philosophical world produced a number of other systematic philosophical outlooks. Outlooks that had views about almost any question you could ask.
Need to adjust my fucking
And among
mic.
those
Yo.
was the view known as Stoicism.
Stoicism.
So Stoics held, with respect to the underlying metaphysical facts about reality, that the world itself is an organic physical totality that's governed by what they called logos or divine reason. There is an order to the world. And that the responsibility of human beings, given that order, is to cultivate a particular kind of virtue. Virtue on the Stoic picture is acting in accord with what reason tells you nature demands. It's going along with this grand scheme of things and not trying to fight against what is pre-divined for you. So it's not surprising that elements of the Stoic tradition get picked up in subsequent theistic traditions. In some ways, the Stoic view that the world is a well-ordered entity governed by divine reason lies at the heart of many of the religious traditions that are familiar to you today. The question then becomes, what is demanded of you prescriptively? What should you do if these two things are the case? And what the Stoics suggest is that you need to accept your fate, that it is the consequence of the power and goodness of the logos, even though the ways in which it is good for you may be unavailable to you to see. And that in order to do so, you need to moderate your desires, you need to avoid excess emotion, and thereby come to act in accord with reason. So the contemporary use of the term Stoic, one who doesn't express suffering in the face of pain, is picking up on the second of these prescriptive aspects. But it's important to recognize that, as with all of the philosophers that we're reading, this is part of a systematic worldview. The idea is not we pick a little bit here and a little bit there, and we don't worry about how they go together. The idea is we have an idea about the nature, fundamental nature of reality, a view about how we know that, and then views about what we ought to do as a consequence. Now, Epictetus in the handbook is concerned only with a small portion of the Stoic picture. He's concerned, basically, with writing the very first self-help manual. He's trying to tell you, Mr. or Ms. citizen of ancient Roman world in about the year 100, what to do if you would like to flourish. And here's what he tells you you need to do. You need to learn how to respond appropriately to the experience by doing three things. You need to alter your perceptions of the world so that you come to apprehend things in such a way that they don't influence you harmfully. You need to alter your desires with respect to the world. And you need to structure your life in such a way that you stay on the straight and narrow. You need to structure your social relations in ways that will help you sustain your commitments.
Okay.
And in the next slide, in an attempt to help you read through the text that we have, I've suggested ways of putting each of the sub-passages of the book into
Let me rewind. I need to understand what the three tenets. I need to
Mr.
understand.
or Ms. Citizen of ancient Roman world in about the year 100.
Okay.
What to do if you would like to flourish.
Flourish.
And here's what he tells you you need to do. You need to learn how to respond appropriately to the experience by doing three things. You need to alter your perceptions of the world so that you come to apprehend things in such a way that they don't influence you harmfully.
What?
Things in perceptions of the world so that you come to apprehend things in such a way that they don't influence you harmfully.
Okay. What?
And things your perceptions of the world so that you come to apprehend things in such a way that they don't influence.
What does that even mean? So harmful things aren't harmful? Structure your perception in such a way that harmful things are not harmful. Is he fucking kidding? What? Nature. Okay.
Influence you harmfully. You need to alter your desires with respect to the world.
Okay. Nature demands that humans be the bitch. Maximize the things you can control, minimize the things you cannot control. Control and cultivate desire parallel to logos. I need to understand if what I wrote down actually.
And here's what he tells you.
Are my notes talking out of the ass, or are they
You
correct?
need to learn how to respond appropriately to the experience by doing three things.
Okay.
You need to alter your perceptions of the world so that you come to apprehend things in such a way that they don't influence you harmfully.
Okay. See no harm. What's that? Gandhi's monkey? Gandhi's monkey. Gandhi's monkey. Wait, the three monkeys. Yeah. Yeah, this is it. This is it. Okay. For the Turkish film, C3. Oh, the three monkeys are a Japanese pictorial maxim embodying the proverbial principle: see no evil, hear no evil, speak. Okay. It's gonna copy it in the same fucking bold font. So, Epictetus' Stoicism is see no evil, commit no evil, right? 4.1. Yeah.
You need to alter your desires with respect to the world. And you need to structure your life in such a way that you stay on the straight and narrow. You need to structure your social relations in ways that will help you sustain your commitments. And in the next slide, in an attempt to help you read through the text that we have, I've suggested ways of putting each of the sub-passages of the book into one of these categories.
Okay, this is so confusing. You are just killing me.
A view about how we know that, and then views about what we ought to do as a consequence.
Just tell me.
The religious traditions that are familiar to you today. The question then becomes, what is demanded of you prescriptively? What should you do if these two things are the case? And what the Stoics suggest is that you need to accept your fate, that it is the consequence of the power and goodness of the logos, even though the ways in which it is good for you may be unavailable.
See, this
to you
is
to see.
this what
And
I
that in order to
understand.
do
The
so, you need to moderate
thing about logos. What the fuck is Epictetus talking about?
desire for you, prescriptism, the reality of you only with a small portion. He's trying to tell you if you would like to flourish. And here's what he tells you need to do. You need to learn how to respond appropriately to experience by doing three things. You need to alter your perceptions of the world so that you come to apprehend things in such a way that they don't influence you harmfully. You need to alter your desires with respect to the world. And you need to structure your life in such a way that you stay on the straight and narrow. You need to structure.
Okay. Structure your fucking. What was the first one?
You're doing three things. You need to alter your perceptions
Yeah,
of the world
alter
so that you
your
come
perceptions
to
of the
apprehend
world.
things in such a way that they don't influence you harmfully. You need to alter your desires.
Okay. Alter your fucking perception of the world, alter your desires, then alter your actions. Alter the perception, alter desire, alter action. Alter perception, alter desire, alter action. Alter perception, alter desire, alter action. Okay. Alter perception, comma, desire, comma, action in accordance with three monkeys. Let's go. Here, control V. Okay. What? No. Please work. Please work. Yes. Now show me the red. I need to learn the keyboard shortcut. How to do this? Fuck. The organism, alter perception, desire, action in accordance with. This is trash. Oh, the world is an organism that obeys laws. Okay. Action in accordance with three monkeys. The three monkeys. Why does Japan get credit for this, bro? We fucking Gandhi did it, bro. What the fuck? Gandhi fucking at least give. It's so dumb. Why would you? Why would you own this? This is a cell phone. You're not supposed to. This is not supposed to be actually wise. You know, the three wise monkeys are supposed to be retarded. uh, Alter perception, desire, and action in accordance with three monkeys. The world is an organism that. Okay, so let's recap. The world is an organism that obeys logos. Yeah. Nature demands humans be their bitch. Yes. Maximize the things you can control, minimize the things you cannot control. Yes. Control and cultivate desire parallel to logos. Okay. Destroy this. Identify as a loser. Yes. Stop caring about things. Do things you hate and become detached to reality. Yes. Maximizes. Yeah. So Stoicism is basically the worst philosophy possible. Maybe. I think. Yeah.
With respect to the world. And you need to structure your life in such a way that you stay on the straight and narrow.
See. This. Disidentify as a loser. Structure your life in such a way.
You need to structure your social relations in ways that will help you sustain your commitments. With
Your
respect
commitments.
to the world, and by doing three things. You need to alter your perceptions of the world so that you come to apprehend things in such a way that they don't influence you harmfully. You need to alter
Okay.
your desires with respect to the world.
Okay. Alter perception, desire, and action in accordance with the three motives.
And you need to structure your life in such a way that you stay on the straight and narrow. You need to structure your social relations in ways that will help you sustain your commitments. And in the next slide, in an attempt to help you read through the text that we have, I've suggested ways of putting each of the sub-passages of the book into one of these categories. So, for example, when Epictetus tells us that we need to alter our perception of the world, there are three specific ways that he thinks we might go about doing it, three components to this instruction. The first is that we need to properly classify things into two categories. Things over which we have control, and we'll talk more about that in a moment, and things over which we don't have control. So we need to get our taxonomy down. We need also to anticipate the way the world typically unfolds. So we need not only to know what is up to us and what isn't up to us, but among the things that aren't up to us, we need to structure our expectations in such a way that we are emotionally prepared for what will befall us. And again, I'll talk more about that in a couple of slides. And we need to recognize, in some ways this is a sub-point of the first,
This is 1.25.
the role that judgment and choice play in determining whether it is the case that experiences affect us. So those are the three things that Epictetus the role that judgment is emotionally prepared isn't up to us, but anticipate the way the world typically unfolds. So we need not only to know what is up to us and what isn't up to us, but among the things that aren't up to us, we need to structure our expectations in such a way that we are emotionally prepared for what will befall us. And again, I'll talk more about that in a couple of slides. And we need to recognize, in some ways this is a sub-point of the first, the role that judgment and choice play in...
Okay, the world, nature demands you to humans to be their bitch, maximize the things you can control, minimize the things you cannot control, get used to taking L's, the last point. Okay. 4.4.7. Get used to taking L's. King L's. Yes.
in determining
Maybe I need to alter things a bit. Identify. What? You. Please. Control me. Stop caring about things. No. I fucked everything up. Yo. I fucked everything up. Maximize. This is supposed to be. Yeah. Come here. Got something itch. Okay. Go back down.
Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast.
I don't even know what I'm.
Restlessness to hell and back. What's my purpose? What do I grab? A slippery surface, a heart attack.
I fucked everything up.
Sometimes you just gotta believe there's something that'll give you relief.
Yeah.
There's something that'll have what you need, what you need. We're broken, it's tragic. We're not all elastic, but maybe there's magic. Believe
Future humans.
And I know of sadness, the anxious and panic, the infinite vastness of all that is blackness.
Okay. Wait a minute. Bye. Greta बंद करिए जाओ. पापा को डीजे पे. अच्छा हो. Give me a minute. Scott has stream, sorry.
I'll be cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, not fucking likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains, I'm the boss, I'm making change. I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things, gonna make a fucking name. I just wanna be famous, but I don't want that cheap fame. No, I'm not that vain, I just wanna be greatness. 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 Ain't no motherfucker in this world can do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself, in my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste, bitch, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate, bitch, you know where to find me. And if you're going hate this, you can fucking bite me. Okay, I'm going off every chance I get. I don't really take a loss, well, I'll admit. That's why I'll make it to the top, yeah, I commit. And no, I'm never getting lost, I get after it.
Okay,
Investing in my own
back.
stock, cause it's faster than any crypto hits go, let me spend. Everything that you see is something I invent. And it's only up to then I'm gonna take shots.
Bro,
If I
it's been
miss,
an
I'll
hour.
forget it. I'll take a bad loss just to learn all that's in it. I'm
Shut
taking
the
snapshots,
fuck
learning
up, bro.
Whether it is the case that experiences affect us.
What?
So those are the three things that
Who
Epictetus says we need
cares?
to do with respect
Move
to
on.
perception. And again, I'll give examples of each of them in a moment. In addition, moving on to the second thing that we need to do, he tells us that we need to cultivate appropriate desires. We need to get our desires lined up with the world in such a way that we aren't subject repeatedly to frustration. And the way we do this is by inverting the standard relation between desire and the world. Usually, desires express a way things aren't, but you wish they were. I desired firmly yesterday that there not be the 8th snow day in 3 weeks for my children. But the world refused to cooperate on that question. Had I instead adjusted my desires to the world, I desire that things go on exactly as Logos predicts, then I would have been content with their presence in my office. The second thing that Epictetus tells us we can do in strategizing how to cultivate appropriate desires is to make use of this extraordinary human capacity to assimilate things from one category to things from another. So remember when I showed you the Wason selection task, that funny thing which had an A and an S and a 4 and a 7, and I asked you which card we had to turn over to determine whether it was true that if there's an A on one side, there's a 7 on the other. Doing that task was hard, But when I showed you that it was structurally identical to another task, the task of being shown 4 cards which had ages and alcoholic or non-alcoholic drinks, and I asked you which cards do you need to turn over to verify the truth of if somebody is drinking a beer, then she is over 21, all of a sudden you were able to understand the difficult problem in light of the problem with respect to which
selection
you had
task or
traction.
whatever. Yeah.
Epictetus points out to us that we have a skill set for letting go. We have a skill set for psychological distancing. We have
For
a
not
skill
giving
set
a
for
shit.
saying,
Okay.
stuff happens and it doesn't matter.
And
what he suggests we do, and again I'll give an example of this, is to learn how to assimilate the things which we find hard to let go of to the things which we find easy to let go of, and thereby exploit this capacity that we have for metaphoric understanding.
Okay.
Finally, in this category, Epictetus points out the importance of habituating yourself to the inevitability of loss. Here's some bad news for all of you. You're going to die.
Aww.
Shelley Kagan has an entire course about this, about coming to terms with this inevitable fact about human existence. But Epictetus suggests that by taking this on board profoundly, in a way that affects you not just at the level of being able to utter the words, I will die someday, but at the level of really habituating it to your relations to things, all of a sudden, things that seemed incredibly important loom less so. Finally, Epictetus points out the importance, if you're going to act in ways that run counter to the norms of your culture, the importance of realizing that you're going to get negative social feedback.
Okay.
So passage after passage describes the importance of resisting social pressure. When people say of you, you aren't seeking honor and glory, you must be a loser. Epictetus says, let them say so and care not what they say about you. And as I point out here, there are almost 15 passages that identify this strategy. Finally, Epictetus gives you a kind of trick, a persona that he wants you to cultivate. You're supposed to be a kind of silent type. People say stuff and you just calmly don't respond. So this strategy that he's presenting to us has these 3 main parts. And what I want to do in the next bit of lecture is to run through some specific examples of this, looking first at Epictetus' text, quoting it directly, and then suggesting some contemporary analogs for what it is that Epictetus is talking about. So the opening paragraph of Epictetus' handbook is one of the most famous bits of philosophical writing in the Western tradition of the last 2,000 years. It begins as follows. Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. Our opinions are up to us, and our impulses, our desires, our aversions, in short, whatever is our own doing. But our bodies are not up to us, that is the physical parts of ourselves, nor our possessions, our reputations, our public offices, whatever is not our own doing. Now he's going to go on and point out a mistake you can make. The things that are up to us are by nature free, unhindered, and unimpeded, whereas the things that are not up to us are naturally enslaved, hindered, and not our own. But if you think that things that are naturally enslaved, things that are not up to you, are your own, if you think things naturally enslaved are free, or that things that are not your own are your own, you will be thwarted, miserable, upset, and walking around blaming the world for everything that's going wrong with you. The mistake of confusing that over which you have control and that over which you lack control leads to thwarted, upset, miserable blamingness. By contrast, keeping these categories straight brings the greatest prize. If you think that only what is yours, and that what is not your own is not your own, then no one will ever coerce you. No one will ever hinder you. You will blame no one. You will not accuse anyone. You will do not a single thing unwillingly, because the only things over which you seek to have control.
I was not paying attention. I'm going to be entirely honest. Please rewind.
If you think that only what is yours, and that what is not your own is not your own, then no one will ever coerce you. No one will ever hinder you. You will blame no one. You will not accuse anyone.
If you cock yourself, nobody will cock you. What the fuck is this argument? Yo, what the fuck is this argument?
One will decide for wrong, or that things that are not your own are your own. you will be thwarted, miserable, upset, and walking around blaming the world for everything
constantly
that's going
molding.
wrong
Okay,
with you.
normal society. Who
The
cares?
mistake
Everyone.
of
That's everyone.
confusing that over which
That's
you have
adult
control
life. What?
and that over which you lack control leads to thwarted, upset, miserable blamingness.
Yeah.
By contrast, keeping these categories straight brings the greatest prize. If you think that only what is yours, and that what is not your own is not your own, then no one will ever coerce you.
Yeah, cuck yourself so nobody can cuck you. Okay. Yo, great philosophy. Fucking epic. Yo, Epictetus. Yo, fucking
are the things
OG.
over which
Yo.
you actually do have control.
So deep.
And as a consequence, no one can coerce you because you're only concerned about the things that are up to you. No one can hinder
Shut the
you
fuck up, dude.
because no. Now,
Get me
any
through
of
this
you
bullshit.
who has experience with a friend or a relative or an acquaintance who has taken part in one of the many contemporary versions of Epictetus in the form of a self-help program knows that at the heart of the contemporary 12-step tradition lies a version of this Epictetan thought.
Not this.
articulated
This
in
is
prayer form,
self-cucking,
most
bro.
likely
That's
first
about
by
discipline
Reinhold
and
Niebuhr.
shit.
And
This
that
is
is
bullshit.
the Serenity Prayer, which you can find decorated with hummingbirds and daffodils. God grant me the serenity to accept the
This
things
is
I
like
cannot
saying,
change.
let's say your wife has cancer, and let's say that she has a bad reputation, so people want to kill her. So you fucking kill her yourself, so neither cancer nor society can take her from you. Stoicism, GG. Or maybe you get used to fucking her dying. Okay, doesn't solve problems inherent to fucking humanity. What we human society? What the fuck is he talking about? What is this fucking inaction? Fucking reservation to do any action? What the fuck? You're not supposed to do anything at all. Just fucking be like meh, meh, yeah. Fucking garbage philosophy.
To
Yo.
change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. If morning glories aren't your style, you can find it decorated with a dog, or an angel, or a young child. You can find it on a bowl, or, most strikingly, you can find it tattooed upon your arm, or your thigh, or your side. So clearly there is something in the Epictetan picture that speaks to the contemporary mind, and speaks to it in a way that when I did a Google image
Who speaks
search
to the retardation in
Serenity
the
Prayer,
contemporary mind?
I
What the
found
fuck? What the fuck is
thousands
it
and
talking
thousands,
about?
but in a way.
God grant the fucking retard fucking bullshit. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Courage to change the things I can. Oof, fuck me. What the fuck is this? This is basically saying nothing, bro. This is basically cope. God grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, the courage to things. God help me cope. What the fuck?
That when I did a Google image search for Serenity Prayer, I found thousands and thousands of images like this in any language you can think of. So this idea that we need to distinguish between things that we can change and things that we can't, and that an attitude of acceptance is what's appropriate towards things that we can't change, whereas an attitude of effort is what's appropriate towards things that we can, is a lesson that Epictetus has offered to the Western tradition.
Good for him.
Second example, Epictetus talks to us about the importance of emotional regulation through anticipating what will happen to you in a particular setting.
Okay.
So he says, suppose you are going to go to the baths. When you are about to take some sort of action, he says, remind yourself what sort of action it is. If you're going to take a bath,
Whenever you're in a communal bath and you drop a soap and you bend down to get it, expect your asshole to be penetrated. Get used to it. Think about it. Bro, what the fuck is this philosophy? This is not a healthy state of mind to be in. What the fuck?
Your mind what happens at baths. There are people who splash
This
the
is
bath.
this is actually not
remind
healthy.
yourself what sort of action it is. If you're going to take a bath, put before your mind what happens at baths. There are people who splash, there are people who jostle, there are people who are insulting. If you're going to go to the airport, remember, you're going to have to wait in a long people who are insulting happens at baths. Action it is. If you're going to take a bath, put before your mind what happens at baths. There are people who splash, there are people who jostle, there are people who are insulting.
Okay.
If you're going to go to the airport, remember, you're going to have to wait in a long line. If you're prepared for the fact that you're going to be sitting there needing to wait for your ticket, you can adjust your emotions.
Pre-check-in.
Say
Use
to
your
yourself,
phone. GigaChat.
I want to take a bath. I want to go to the airport. I want to walk across the campus on these icy sidewalks. And I want to do so in a way that keeps my choices in accord with nature. If you appropriately expect things to be as they are, then you will not be frustrated. I want to walk across campus. It's an icy day. I realize that in walking across campus on an icy day, I'll need to slide my feet rather than lift them.
Okay.
That which had previously been an annoyance comes to be a fact about the world, which is not up to me, and consequently, something which does not perturb my feeling of calm.
Yeah, but this
Third
is
thing Epictetus suggests we do
is
to
put it into
recognize
nature,
that
not
what is upsetting
maybe.
to us are not things that happen, but rather our
Not
judgments
humans.
about those things. And you'll recall when I showed you that image from the Metropolitan Museum of Socrates' judgments about those
What
things.
upsets people are not things, but their judgment about the things. Yeah, fucking somebody fucking punches you. Yeah, if you actually feel bad, that's why you feel bad. Yeah, we judge that to be a bad thing. That's why. Yeah. So what? What the fuck is this?
And you'll recall when I showed you that image from the Metropolitan Museum of Socrates' death upon drinking the hemlock, and told you that a death done with nobility, recorded by a good PR agent, something true both of Socrates and of a carpenter from Nazareth.
PR
In
agent.
such cases,
PR agent.
one
Very,
can
very, very
serve as
written in
a
bold.
touchstone
Without the
for
PR agent,
people's thoughts
fucking
about
Socrates died like an idiot, and Plato fucking suffered, and everyone fucking cried. Nothing spectacular happened because some PR agent fucking recorded that shit. That's why we have a fucking epic story and fucking ripped fucking old Greek men on statues and shit. But otherwise, yeah, you would have died like a bitch. It's a good thing there's a PR agent fucking during the Renaissance or whatever. The golden Islamic age or whatever, wherever fucking these works were read on or whatever.
how in such cases, one can serve as a touchstone for people's thoughts about how to deal with human life and its inevitabilities. So Epictetus says what upsets people are not things, but their judgments about those things. For example, death in itself, he says, must be nothing dreadful, for if it were dreadful, then Socrates, the great wise one, would have felt it to be dreadful. What's scary about death, says Epictetus, is not death itself. What is dreadful about death is the judgment about death that it is.
What's scary? Let me quote. What is scary about rape is the judgment about rape. Mic drop.
Dreadful. Nothing
End
is
quote.
harmful in itself. It's up to you whether you let it harm you. When you teach your children not to be upset by the thoughtless taunts of their classmates, what you point out to them is what their classmates say about them can't hurt them unless it's
You
emotionally
retarded
disturbing
fucking
to them.
parent, your child
If
is
you
getting
don't
bullied
let
in
it hurt
school, you fucking
it
moron,
can't
what the
hurt you.
fuck?
And we find voice given to this, here's Laurence Olivier playing Hamlet, in the famous Rosencrantz and Guildenstern scene of Hamlet. which I put up here for you because I understand
Oh
there's
my
a
God,
production of
Shakespeare.
Hamlet happening in one of the
I want to
colleges
kill
in a
myself.
couple of weeks. So Hamlet is in conversation with these two emissaries and complaining about what a rotten place Denmark is.
Okay.
And they disagree. They say, Denmark doesn't strike us as so bad. And famously, Hamlet says back, why then 'tis none to you. For there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. When you walk around the world, things have shapes and sizes. This table is rectangular. These walls are white. The temperature is thus and such. These are facts about the world. But things in the world don't have valences attached to them. It's not attached to an event that it is good or bad. It is your assessment of the event that gives it that valence.
This
That's
happens
the
in
third
therapy, but
Epictetan
this is
point.
fucking brain-dead
Fourth
philosophy.
point.
This is not the way it's supposed to be
Epictetus
phrased.
points out that there are two ways of having
This
desires.
is a retarded phrasing of
One
that
can,
thing.
on the one hand, ask the world to conform to what you want, or one can ask what you want to conform to the world. Epictetus favors the second. Do not want to have events happen to you as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do happen. And your
If a
life will go
masochist
well.
fucking
Here's a
likes
way to get
pain,
100%
yeah, inflict pain
guarantee
upon
that you'll
everybody
get what
else.
you want.
Fuck, man.
Want what you get. If you want what you get, you will get what you want. So contemporary philosophy has a way of describing this. And one of the ways of thinking about it, they use this notion that they call direction of fit, is to think about what a shopping list is. So because I had some parchment left over from that contract that we signed with the devil a few weeks ago, I thought I'd use it for my shopping list. So here I am, unenlightened by Epictetus, and I write on my shopping list that I would like apples, broccoli, and lemons.
What's the
and so I go to the
second,
store,
third
and the
thing,
fulfillment of
Boethius?
my desire depends upon there being apple, broccoli, and
This is
lemons.
such retarded fucking shit.
You, enlightened by Epictetus, go to the store, look and see what's there, pull out your parchment paper, and make your
Okay.
list. Apples, broccoli, and lemons.
Okay.
So far, there's no difference between us, even though your strategy was to shape your desire to fit the world, and my strategy was to try to shape the world to fit my desire.
Okay.
But what happens to us when the store is out of broccoli?
Good.
I
Broccoli
have on my
is
list
fucking garbage.
apples, broccoli, and lemons. But there
Yeah.
is no broccoli. I'm set up for frustration. You, by contrast, conform your desires to the world. You want what you get. So you change your shopping list, and everything's fine. The Epictetan idea here is that if you shape your desires to the way things actually are, you will never be frustrated.
Okay.
Fourth suggestion. Fourth, fifth, one of you must be keeping count. Proper perspective. So Epictetus offers this extraordinary analogy
Want something else.
in paragraph 7.
Yo,
He says,
you got fucking, I don't know, something stolen. You cannot get justice when you go to the cops. I don't know. You're not gonna get justice. Want something else. But you cannot seek vengeance because fucking Epictetus told you to identify as a loser and be a bitch. So you cannot do that too. Or maybe he's just saying become a fucking murderer and shit and don't give a fuck about society. Maybe he's just saying you take the Joker's path. Don't give a fuck about anything or anyone. Maybe he's saying that. Who knows?
on a voyage when your boat has anchored, if you want to get fresh water, you may pick up a small shellfish and
Just
a vegetable,
speed
by the
through
way.
this bullshit.
But you must keep your mind
No.
fixed on the boat
This segment
and
is.
look around frequently in
This
case
segment
the captain
was the
calls.
worst segment in
If
this
he calls,
course.
you must let all those other things go so you will not be tied up and thrown on the ship like livestock.
Shut the fuck
idea
up.
is, sure, go around, enjoy stuff in the world, but don't let yourself get attached to it. When a major priority occurs, keep things
Let
in
the
order in
fucking
your mind.
lobster die.
But, he continues, this is how it is in life. You know how to relate to shellfish and tomatoes. This is how it is in
Okay.
life too, I'm quoting again. If you are given a wife and a child, instead of a vegetable and a small shellfish, that should not hinder you either. But if the captain calls, let all things go and run to the boat without turning back. Take the strategies that you have available for you for dealing with things whose transience you recognize, and adopt those attitudes towards things whose transience is painful to you. When your jug breaks, he says, you say that is but a broken jug. When your child is lost, say that is but a lost child. This is the logical consequence of the outlook that I've been presenting to you from Epictetus.
Yeah.
It sounded really good when it
Makes
was the serenity
perfect
prayer.
sense.
It sounded pretty good at the
exactly.
grocery store.
Exactly.
It sounds pretty disturbing when it's the wife and child.
Exactly.
What is it that's going on?
Retarded fucking philosophy, that's right.
And turn now to the second text that we read for today. A great work composed in the 6th century, in around 524, by somebody whose life trajectory went almost invertedly to the way that Epictetus did. Epictetus, you'll recall, was born a slave and tried to make sense of his life experience of suffering once he became free. Boethius, by contrast, was born into a noble family, was enormously successful politically in his early years, had 2 sons who went on to be enormously successful political figures, and in his later years was imprisoned for treason. And because the Consolation of Philosophy was one of the most widely read and reproduced works of its era, it was read for centuries and centuries by almost everyone, we have gorgeous illuminated manuscripts that show us the story. So in this one, here is Boethius beforehand, teaching people, and here he is afterwards locked up in jail. Now, in jail, in prison, where he is tortured and suffering, Boethius consoles himself by...
the Boethius part is actually interesting, so I'm going to listen, because this sounds like better and shit. Instead of Epictetus, Sigma grinds at fucking slave to fucking philosopher. Sigma grindset of self-cucking. Let's listen to this. What's his name again? Boethius. And the consolation of philosophy. Okay, copy this bullshit. 5. Boethius. Paste this. Okay. What the fuck was he? I need Internet Archive. So, where is it? Oh, fuck. Search. Come on. Gimme. Where the fuck? Give me Boethius, yo. Page about Boethius? Nothing. What the fuck is happening? Yo, I cannot find an article about Boethius? Is he named something else? Boethius? Yeah, I found this one. I think I read this one before watching the video and shit. Is this the same Boethius? Must be the same Boethius. Italian senator, rise to power, early life, rise to power. Senator by name, okay, father, consul, having been, okay. Greek language is, where the fuck does he get enslaved? Yo. Downfall and death. 500 years later and continue. This is a different Boethius. Boethius, philosopher. Philosophy. Okay. Boethius of Dacia was a leading philosopher of Paris. What? Buddhism. Latin boy. Fuck me. Why? Shut up. Boethius of Dacia in Latin, Boethius de Dacia. Well, fuck, who cares? Tell me. Is it the same Boethius? What was she talking about? The consolation of philosophy. Copy. Better be. Who wrote this? Who wrote this? Who wrote this? Yes, take me to his page. The fucking retard who wrote this. It's the same guy! Okay. Anicius Melius, fucking Severus Boethius, fucking Tom Riddle, the second, fucking third bullshit. Fuck. Oh my god. This song is fucking trolling me. How did I click on this? How the fuck did I click on this fucking song? Yo? Hello? Shut the fuck up. Yo. Okay, got this. My skin was fucking black this whole time. Okay. I think so. I think this is going well. This is going to kill me. Shut the fuck up. Oh my god. No, I didn't. Okay. I think this entry is fucking. This entry is kinda. Okay. Did I copy the wrong Boethius? Yes, I copied the wrong Boethius. Why does my Stoicism. You need some stoicism, brother. Losing my. Oh my god. Oh, shut up. How the fuck did the cursor go down? Yo. There needs to be. I don't need his full fucking name, bro. Annihilation Boethius fucking retarded. Fucking god of fucking. Oh my god. Oh. Give me the fucking title, yes, thank you. God. I wanna kill myself. Now shut up. You.
I leave that for you as a question, and turn now to the second text that we read for today. A great work composed.
Oh my god, I did
in
not
the
even
6th
read that.
century,
What the fuck
around
are you even talking
524,
about? Oh shit.
by somebody whose life trajectory went almost invertedly to the way that Epictetus's did.
Please.
Epictetus, you'll recall, was born a slave and
Oh my
tried
god,
to make
Boethius,
sense
the
of
consolations
his life
of philosophy
experience
sections.
of suffering once he
Happiness
became
hypothesis
free.
again.
Boethius, by contrast, was born into a noble family,
Okay.
was enormously successful politically in his early years, had two sons who went on to be enormously successful political figures, and in his later years was imprisoned for treason. And because the Consolation of Philosophy was one of the most widely read and reproduced works of its era, it was read for centuries and centuries by almost everyone, we have gorgeous illuminated manuscripts that show us the story. So in this one, here is Boethius beforehand, teaching people, and here he is afterwards locked up in jail. Now, in jail, in prison, where he is tortured and suffering, Boethius consoles himself by engaging in an imaginary conversation with a figure that he calls philosophy. So here's philosophy come to visit Boethius in his prison.
He's schizoid.
And what philosophy says to him is, in many ways, like what Epictetus was talking about. There is, she says, a wheel of fortune. Sometimes things start off badly and get better. Sometimes things start off better and get bad. But there will inevitably be a circle to what comes to you and to what is taken from you. And recognizing that there is nothing to be done other than to recognize that this is the pattern that life takes, is to Boethius enormously liberating. Recognizing that what goes along with having things is the possibility of losing them, allows him to come to terms with the experience of having lost all that he previously had. What I want to do in the final section of the lecture is to return to a theme that we discussed previously, the question of what philosophical utility there is to these works during times of extreme duress. So my hope, because you read an essay by him, is that even if you don't recognize this gentleman, you can guess who he is. This is Admiral James Stockdale, who was, among other things, imprisoned alongside John McCain in Hanoi during the Vietnam War, and who was also the vice presidential candidate running on the independent ticket, I understand, before you were born. So James Stockdale, as he explains to you in the incredibly moving memoir that we read for today, studied the works of the classical tradition. He read Epictetus, he read a bunch of the other Stoics, he read the Iliad, he read the Odyssey, and all of these were part of his cognitive and emotional repertoire when in Vietnam the following thing happened to him. It was September 9th, 1965. I'm reading now from his book. I flew at 500 knots right into a flak trap at treetop level in a little A4 airplane, the cockpit walls not even 3 feet apart, which I couldn't steer after it was on fire. Its control system shot out. After ejection, I had 30 seconds to make my last statement of freedom before I landed in the main street of a little village right ahead, and so help me, I whispered to myself, 5 years down here at least, I'm leaving the world of technology and entering the world of Epictetus. Ready at hand.
What's going on? I was not paying attention. I'm so sorry. Fuck me.
Stockdale, who was,
reading,
among other things,
I was reading this book. I found it.
Imprisoned alongside John McCain in Hanoi during the Vietnam War.
Beautiful.
And who was also the vice presidential candidate running on the independent ticket, I understand, before you were born. So James Stockdale, as he explains to you in the incredibly moving memoir that we read for today.
James who, James what's happening?
And recognizing that there is nothing to be done other than to recognize that this is the pattern that life takes, is to Boethius enormously liberating.
The consolation of philosophy. So the wheel of fortune.
There's some said by him in prison. And what philosophy says to him is, in many ways, like what Epictetus was talking about. There is, she says, a wheel of fortune.
Okay, the wheel of fortune. Schizo's out and writes a book in prison. The consolation of philosophy. So okay. The consolation of philosophy by Boethius and wheel of fortune. He writes a book. So it's just about the wheel of fortune.
Sometimes things start off badly and get better. Sometimes things start off better and get bad. But there will inevitably be a circle to what comes to you and to what is taken from you. And recognizing that there is nothing to be done other than to recognize that this is the pattern that life takes is, to Boethius, enormously liberating. Recognizing that what goes along with having things is the possibility of losing them allows him to come to terms with the experience of having lost all that he previously had. What I want to do in the final section of the lecture is to return to a theme that we discussed previously, the question of what philosophical utility there is to these works during times of extreme duress. So my hope, because you read an essay by him, is that even if you don't recognize this gentleman, you can guess who he is. This is Admiral James Stockdale, who was, among other things, imprisoned alongside John McCain in Hanoi during the Vietnam War, and who was also the vice presidential candidate running on the independent ticket, I understand, before you were born. So James Stockdale, as he explains to you in the incredibly moving memoir that we read for today, studied the works of the classical tradition. He read Epictetus, he read a bunch of the other Stoics, he read the Iliad, he read the Odyssey, and all of these were part of his cognitive and emotional repertoire when in Vietnam the following thing happened to him. It was September 9th, 1965. I'm reading now from his book. I flew at 500 knots right into a flak trap at treetop level in a little A4 airplane, the cockpit walls not even 3 feet apart, which I couldn't steer after it was on fire, its control system shot out. After ejection, I had 30 seconds to make my last statement of freedom before I landed in the main street of a little village right ahead, and so help me, I whispered to myself, 5 years down here at least, I'm leaving the world of technology and entering the world of Epictetus. Ready at hand, he says, now quoting from the handbook. Ready at hand from the Enchiridion, the handbook. I ejected from that airplane. As I ejected from that airplane was that opening paragraph that we read a few moments ago. The understanding that a Stoic always keeps separate files in his mind for A, those things that are up to him, and B, those things that are not up to him. Another way of saying this, says Stockdale, is those things that are within his power and those things that are beyond his power. Still another way of saying it. Those things that are beyond, within the grasp of his free will and those that lie beyond it. All of the things over which you do not have control, which in the context of tortured imprisonment are a huge number, are external. And, says Stockdale, it will doom me to fear and anxiety if I covet them. I need to let go of the thought that those things will change. However, and this is crucial, everything in category A is up to me, within my power, within my will. And those are the things that are properly subject for my total concern and involvement. These matters include my opinions, my aims, my aversions, my grief, my joy, my judgments, my attitude about what is going on, my own good, my own evil, my internal character, says Stockdale, in circumstances which are almost unimaginably difficult. My character and my response to those things are up to me. And he goes on to describe the experience of torture using a trope that we've seen repeatedly in the texts we've read. He says, when tortured, what we actually, and released from the torture, what we contemplated was that we had engaged in a certain sort of betrayal of ourselves and what we stood for. It was there that I learned what Stoic harm, echoes of the moral harm that we talked about when we discussed the Jonathan Shea work, a shoulder broken, a bone in my back broken, a leg broken twice, were peanuts in comparison. Epictetus, look not for any greater harm than this, destroying the trustworthy, self-respecting, well-behaved man inside you. Situations of extremity that force people to discover in themselves aspects of what they are capable that they don't wish to see are what is most harmful. When Plato says, it will do you no good to gain gold by selling or enslaving your daughter, why then gain gold by selling or enslaving your soul? He's expressing the thought that we hear here. When we read in the discussions of Jonathan Shea about the experience of feeling that one has betrayed what one stood for, that is what led to a feeling of moral harm. And when Milgram's subjects found themselves doing things that they felt repulsive to them,
I think
it's
shook, almost
they
over.
Felt a disorder in their soul.
Yeah,
Here again is an answer to
practical significance
challenge.
of detachment.
But notice that though Stockdale is taking on board much of the Epictetan picture, he's rejecting the bit about the tomato and the wife. That is, he rejects in Epictetus the idea that social relations aren't important. In the paragraph following the one that I just read to you, he writes as follows. When people are released from solitary confinement, when put back in a regular cell block, hardly an American came out of that experience without responding something like this, when first whispered to by a fellow prisoner next door, "You don't want to talk to me, I am a traitor." But, says Stockdale, doing the sort of listening whose importance Shea emphasized in our reading for last week, but because we were equally fragile, it seemed to catch on that we all replied something like this: "Listen, pal, there are no virgins here. You should have heard the kind of statement I made. Snap out of it. We're all in this together. What's your name? Tell me about yourself." To hear that last, to hear that you are accepted and that there are others around you willing to listen to the experience which you found painful, was for, I'm now quoting again, most new prisoners just out of initial shakedown and cold soak, a turning point in their lives. So the question that Stockdale's text raises for us is the question of whether it is possible for us to take on board some of the Epictetan picture without taking on all of it. Is it possible to regulate our desires so that we don't expect more from the world than it's possible to get? But to do so in such a way that we don't thereby lose the possibilities for the most profound types of human connectedness? To that, I don't know the answer, but I think it's worth thinking about as a question.
No, we can.
So today's lecture is about the claim that we've been exploring in the context of Aristotle's ethics, that the way to cultivate virtue is by cultivating in itself certain sorts of habits.
Just
and I want to start by showing you a picture of a t-shirt which was popular at MIT in the mid-90s when
laws and
my husband was a
habits.
graduate student.
Aristotle on habituation. Classical and operant conditioning. What the fuck does that even mean? I think the next lecture and the second lecture I'll do at once.
So today I'm going to give you...
Yeah. This is going to be fun. Very well. Oh, the stream was fucking... whatever. Play some music. Disgusting. This is supposed to be soul music. Is all funky soul music just trash? How is the soul music? Okay, whatever. This was kind of soul, kind of whatever. Okay, whatever. Thanks for tuning in, whoever did. Virtue and habit, Aristotle on the requirements of virtue. I think what are the reading guides? Let me check this out. Wait just a bit. What number was this again? 10. 7, 8, 10. Julia Annis. The phenomenology of virtue. Okay. Okay. What's happening here? Person, situations, and virtue ethics. Okay, I need to have these links ready because I'm not fucking reading up on this. I'm just looking it up as she talks about it. So I may need to scout a bit, just go forward, look at things like I did for the previous video. But I just got stun locked in the first 10 minutes regardless, so I don't know. I guess, whatever. I'm done. Bye, YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. Whoever tuned in. Have a nice day. And take care. I'll see you again. Bye.